Hi everybody, Cheryl and Lady coming to you from the Ladies Garden and Home, and today we're going through what I think is a very important step and also the final step before we get to starting seeds. So I hope you join us. It's about time to start seeds, and I want to make sure that I have everything that I need. My setup is complete so I can hit the ground running when I'm starting to sow those seeds inside the house. I have a very small space inside and outside, but I do start a good number of seeds. So if you're crushed for space, I think this video is going to, I don't know, maybe inspire you to see what you can do in a small amount of space. So in getting together what we need to start seeds, the first thing we want to do is our seed inventory, and we want to inventory what we have so that we don't end up with a lot of duplicates, and also we want to place that order really quickly, because although I find that the shipping from these companies are usually pretty timely, it's not like Amazon next day. And the other thing is you want to make sure you're going to be able to get the varieties that you want, that you've decided to plant. So I'm going to get my garden plant list, which I printed out from the Farmer's Almanac Garden Planner. And where are my glasses? Just go through. Now I keep my seed inventory in alphabetical order. A lot of people put them according to type, root vegetables together, brassicas together, and that kind of thing, which I can appreciate, and you know, do it whatever works for you, but I happen to like doing it by alphabetical order because I can print this out in alphabetical order. So to start with, the first one on here is alyssum. So go to my A's, and then what I do is I shake the packet, and it sounds like I have a good enough amount in here to get me a couple of plants, so that's good. I don't need to order that. Artichoke is next. And I'm really going to just try one more artichoke, and I have plenty of seeds in here. So I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole thing, but just going through and making sure that I have everything that I need. I actually didn't have that many to order this year, because I have probably more seeds than I could ever start in my life. But there were things that I was out of, and there were new things that I wanted to try. So the next thing we're going to inventory is our seed starting materials that we need, the medium and the tools and that kind of thing. So I keep, because I do have a very small space, I keep the tools that I need for seed starting, which are very small anyway, in this shoebox, which used to be my seed storage box, but I outgrew it. The stuff that I use to make my seed starting mix, which is really not a seed starting mix per se, it's more of a potting mix, because I do put some nutrition in there with worm castings and compost. I just want to make sure that I have everything, and I keep this tub in my mini greenhouse outside, and I bring it in at least the night before I'm going to seed start, because I don't want it to be cold. I want it to be, you know, a nice room temperature to get started, and I use mycorrhizal inoculant. I mix a little of that in, which helps root development. Here's my vermiculite, earthworm castings, compost. This is already made up potting mix. And I use coconut coir instead of peat, because I like that it comes in these small compressed blocks like this, and then I just heat it with boiling water. That'll kill off any kind of you know, bug eggs that might have come in on it. And then it expands quite a bit, actually, and it makes a good amount of medium there. So that's what I use. I did a video on how I make my potting mix a few years ago, and I will link that at the bottom in the description. And here are the tools. Basically just a bunch of cut up yogurt and cottage cheese containers. You know, that's something to do on a winter's night. Just sit around and cut them up. I got paper clips to keep my seed packets closed once I open them. What else do I have in here? Just some tools and things like that. Some of the bags that I use as humidity domes. So that's all in here. I keep my seed starting trays in this bin outside here on the strawberry cart. Poor geranium. And this I have all of my my little seedling trays and pots, and I'll clean them up and wash them. Give them a little bleach before I use them again. And we also want to make sure we have enough of these trays. These are the ones without holes in them, so I can bottom water the seedling trays in them. I've got my liquid fertilizer there. It was in a very big bottle, so I just condensed it into these jars. I use AgriThrive general purpose liquid fertilizer. It's organic, and it's worked very nicely for me over the last couple of years. Some people have pretty elaborate setups of shelving and lights and things like that in their basements or the garage. Since I have such a small space, I make do with what I've got, and this is actually a little bit of a different setup than I had last year. This cart served me well my first year or two of gardening in this backyard, but I outgrew it. I ordered another mini greenhouse, I think from Home Depot. This one is smaller than the one that I have outside, and it fits perfectly. Yeah, it's only 22 inches wide, and it's only a 4-tier, and it fits perfectly on my cart. I decided to put this little mini greenhouse on top of the table here, and then it gives me more shelving space down here, and these plants can get moved off when I outgrow that and I need a little bit more space. What I'm hoping is that these 4 shelves that provide enough space for 8 trays will suffice, and when I seed start later on in the spring, that many of these will be already out in the garden or hardening off in the outdoor mini greenhouse, which is wider, and it's also 5 shelves, so it accommodates 10 flats. This was not expensive. It was, I think, just under $45 at Home Depot, and so far it's working out very nicely for me in this kind of tight space. Now, if you didn't have a table like this, that's fine. Just set it up, you know, for only 22 inches of width. If you really do have very little space in your home, this I think would work out very nicely for you because it really doesn't have a big footprint at all. Another thing that is really important to have a setup for seed starting is lights. This is a south-facing window, so it gets a lot of light. Last year, I started putting aluminum foil on the opposite side of where the light comes in to give it some like bounce back extra light. And that seems to help keep them from stretching, although I did have to turn them twice a day. If you don't have supplemental light, you really should turn your trays twice a day to make sure that they don't stretch to the same direction towards the light all the time. Over the last couple of days, we've had a nice stretch of very, very sunny weather. It's been nice and warm too, but January was probably the drippiest, dreariest, darkest January I can remember. I don't think we saw the sun for 3.5 weeks. It was, frankly, rather miserable. So I decided with that stretch of cloudy weather that was coming that I really needed to supplement the light source, that the sun was not going to be enough. So I broke down and I got lights. But here's my problem. I have no electricity on this side of the house. And to run an extension cord would mean we would be tripping over it all the time. So I found these on Amazon. It's a motion sensor light, but it also has a full on and off switch. So it doesn't have to be motion sensor all the time. And they're USB charged, which is great because they're battery powered. And also they're magnetic. So I didn't have to deal with hanging them in some way. Instead, they just go right up. They also come with hardware if you wanted to wall mount them or stick them. But I think it's fine for supplemental light on days that we have some clouds in the sky. And it seems like the plants are doing fine with them. And as you can see, I just put boxes here to raise them up close to the light. This way, I'm not having to string things up and make them go up and down like that. I can just change out the boxes. I'll be getting some more of them as I fill up the shelves. Many of the seeds that you start that are considered heat lovers or, warm weather crops appreciate additional heat, not just the ambient heat from the house. So I have this heat mat here, which I also got. It's a Vivasun. I also got this on Amazon as well. It's not plugged in right now because nothing's on it. It's just sitting on the wooden coffee table. And to keep the heat off of the wood, I just raised it up on a baker's cooling rack. And that's it's a space for one tray. And I'm not doing a lot all at the same time. I'll let these guys come up and then I'll move them over to the light. Most of the seeds that you start, especially the ones that need a supplemental heat source, most of them don't need light to germinate. So I think I'm going to be fine with this setup. I used to have other lights here, but they were very, very bright and they really bothered my cat, Fluffer, who likes to sleep right here all day long next to Lady. And this is the little charging station for those lights I just showed you. I charge them at night, and then I usually don't put them on until about noon because it is so bright here. And I found that these don't really last a good 12 hours without needing another charge. So I'd rather them be up here and lit while the sun is waning. For example, it's about, I don't know, 4:45, so it's getting a little bit darker. So now it really needs the extra light. These are the seeds I started in January. You've got some, this is escarole, actually, or endive, I think they also call it. And I've got some lettuce, and unfortunately the spinach did not survive the transplant. I've got some onions over there with very sporadic germination. These were brand new seeds. You see in the back there, those were the Walla Walla, and the red burgundy never sprouted. So I ordered new seeds, and I'll be resowing those. That's one of the benefits of starting to sow seeds in January, is that you still have some time in case you have to resow anything. Down here I've got my eggplant and peppers, and I have an entire type of pepper that never germinated, and I don't know if it will. I remember last year One type of pepper took a really long time to germinate. I might just wait that out, but I am going to be starting other kinds of peppers. And the reason I start these early is because they are very slow growers. I hope if you have a small area that you're dealing with and you don't know if you have enough room to seed start, I hope that this gives you a little bit of inspiration to see how you can kind of compress things and you don't need a big sprawling layout. I also hope that if you've never started seeds before, just give a couple of them a try this year. I mean, certainly go ahead and buy plant starts if you prefer, but there's something really gratifying about having kind of a house full of baby seedlings when it's really cold and wintry out, although we've been having a very nice stretch of weather. We've had temperatures in the 50s, that's Fahrenheit, in February, and it's kind of unusual, although I think we're getting snow next week. That's what they say. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like, and I hope you subscribe because we are going to be starting seeds next. And from the Ladies Garden and Home, enjoy your gardening journey. Bye! Say goodbye, lady. Lady. Lady says goodbye. Fluffer would too, but he's really zonked out. Fluffer! Fluffer!